All right, here we go. And welcome everybody to a special edition of Inside the Distance podcast. I'll say we're still trying out we're trying to figure out a title, but I'm a dog walker, so I'll go with Aaron the Dog Talk for now. And this would be my first premiere episode, and I've got no better than royalty to join me on this premiere episode in King Casey O'Neill, newly assigned UFC fighter. King Casey O'Neill. Thank you for joining me tonight, Casey. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing good. Just hanging out in the house, quarantining.
Yeah. Where are you at right now for those who aren't aware?
Currently Lake Tahoe, but in Vegas at the moment, training at Extreme Couture.
Okay. And so you're kind of so the way I won't say I discovered you, I found out about you, I should say. I was following a training partner of yours, B Nguyen, and I kept seeing this kind of like monster in the background, like pinning girls up against the cage and like really looked a little bit harder than others in training. So I may ask you a little bit about how some feel about your training methods here. And so one day she tagged you in it, so I decided to start following you on there, and then went on to YouTube, and almost all your amateur and pro fights are on there, so got to watch all of those, and there's a lot of really fun fights there. But that was kind of how I found out about you. And then all of a sudden I saw you earlier this year in two different fights, kind of just blow away your opponent, so to speak. So the first was with actually Caitlin McEwen, I believe was her name. She was 5-1 going into the fight, and you had, I believe, 2 10-8 rounds, maybe a 10-7 round in there. Kind of, how did you feel about that? Was how you kind of started the quarantine process here back in February? How did you feel going into that fight and with that result? I know you didn't get a finish, but that was a beatdown for 15 minutes.
I think that fight was like a turning point for me. Like, I really felt like I was starting to come into my own in that fight. It was my first full camp under Tiger Muay Thai, so a new training schedule and a different way of doing things. So yeah, I felt really good in that fight. That's probably my favorite fight. I know I didn't get the finish, but I just went a little bit crazy, and I didn't really have the wheel in my own body in that one. I don't know what was happening, but
hold on, you're saying you go crazy in a fight. I would have no idea you going crazy in your fight. I've not heard you maybe ask for a stoppage in your last fight as you were hammering away at your opponent's face. You're a little bit intense. I don't know if anybody's told you that, Casey.
Yeah, I get intense a lot. So when it comes to training, and I do get intense. And
where does that come from for you? Because you're 23 years old, you don't get this rage from life yet. You still got a couple years before you get to hang that claim to fame up. So at 20, where does that come from for you internally, truly?
I think I'm just like an old soul. I definitely have some rage, and there. I mean, my career started, my amateur career, at 0-2.
Yep.
So I had some rough goes at the start there, and I wasn't the person that I am now, that's for sure. So I had to train really, really hard to try and turn that around. Sort of like everybody that I was working with at the time of those first 2 fights just gave up on me and was thinking, that I couldn't do it. So I think that's where the rage started building up, and I ended up just putting my head down and working hard and being intense, as you say, and then got 10 in a row. So intense work.
Yeah, I mean, and 10 in a row. And I have said this a lot, so people who are listening right now, who are regular listeners, will roll their eyes, but I truly believe in MMA, losses are a requirement, whether it's at the amateur or pro level. They truly show, and 2 losses in a row to start your amateur career, start your MMA career. I can't imagine some of the mental kind of depths you find yourself in and continue to find yourself in this sport. And you found out right away what kind, if this was the life you wanted or not, because you're not starting 2-0, 3-0. You're not starting with the feeling of success. You're feeling the ultimate defeat there. So, I mean, it really, really does show. And I suggest to anybody who is new to Casey O'Neill to just go have a little browse on YouTube. You're going to watch a lot of great fights, whether they're the decisions or the finish of Christy Oberst. That's one of my favorite ones right there. And kind of a low key, really good win, as she hasn't fought this year, but fought last year against one of your teammates and ended up knocking her out. So, I mean, she's a dangerous opponent as well. And you went in there. And one of my favorite things about and I'm sorry to just jump around all over here, but we'll figure out. We'll have you back hopefully too, closer to when maybe you have a matchup too. Because I was trying to get you on here before that UFC signing, by the way. I could care less about the UFC signing at this point. I've been looking forward to getting to talk to you. So particularly your fighting style is like nobody else who I've seen, if I'm being honest. It's so intense, particularly your ground and pound. I think I know it's very early and you have to earn your spot in the UFC, but you're immediately one of these upper echelon ground and pound fighters in the UFC at flyweight. Just the way that you're able to post up in your fights and just start to hammer down those strikes to where you can have a conversation with the referee. Jillian Robertson, another guest of ours, regular guest, UFC Flyweight, who knows, you guys are two of the younger 125ers in the division, and I see a clash at some point between you two. You're both highly skilled, and I highly respect both of you. But she's another one of these fighters who can use her ground control to have a conversation in the fight, similar to you. So, but the intensity with your ground and pound is like no one else I've seen. When you got started, how early on did you start to mold the style? It's been pretty consistent. I know that you said in the last couple of fights you felt it's come into your own fully, but it's kind of been there from the beginning. Like you were offering up, were you training MMA from when you started training, I guess? Or how did you start training? What did you start training in?
So I started kickboxing when I was 4, actually. I was really young. So I was doing that as a kid. I did ballet and kickboxing at the same time. So kickboxing always worked out better for me.
Well, this ballet thing is, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I moved to Australia and a couple of years off. And then I think I was 14 when I started again. I started straight into MMA. So I am one of the people that are sort of coming into MMA with a background in MMA from the beginning. So I started to develop the ground and pound style as well from the beginning, because I love being on the ground, but I also like striking. So mixing the two together works well for me.
So have you always been a fan of the UFC, or were you just more a fan of training initially? Did you have a particular fighter that was your favorite growing up?
I mean, I started fighting because my dad was a fighter. So my dad was my favorite fighter. That was the reason why I started fighting.
Oh, that is such a nice answer.
But I liked a lot of people when I was coming up, BJ Penn. I even had a thing for like Phil Baroni. I really liked Phil Baroni. I don't know why. Ken Shamrock, and then all the Gracie. But yeah, I used to have like a full-blown robe like Phil Baroni and walk around the house like that. So that makes complete
sense.
Yeah, so I was brought into it by my dad though, so I'm a lot like my dad too. If you've ever seen my dad fight, I fight like him.
Well, so I need to do my research on your dad. I've only seen him coaching or watching in the corners for your fights, and that is a pretty high intensity as well. He's like he is the second most focused person in that second most focused O'Neill in that cage next to you. So it's really I really respect the father-daughter connection. As we know this weekend, I know you're working through. Go ahead and work through those issues as I'm talking. Just let me know if you're losing me or if you need me to shut up a little bit. But yeah, there we go. I should have said that from the beginning to turn your phone like a good host, but you know, I'm working on it too. But are you with me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Breaking out.
So no problem. If you want to just jump in and jump back out, you can go ahead and do that real quick if you want. It may work better. Okay. I can kill a couple seconds here. So what I was just gonna keep talking while you jump in and out. What I was gonna say to Casey is that particularly this Saturday with Khabib Nurmagomedov fighting his first fight without his dad, obviously a different situation than Casey with her father, but the father-son or daughter connection within MMA, very, very real thing. And to know that Casey not only was looking up to her father, who was also a fighter, but also a fight promoter with Eternal, where she was able to fight. Hey, is that is that a little better?
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it. Okay. We'll just kind of work through it here. And what I was and I'll go ahead and just wrap up with this. The reason I particularly think that it's fascinating that your father is such a key influence in your professional and amateur overall MMA life is with Khabib Nurmagomedov fighting this Saturday. As we know, his father passed away earlier in the COVID quarantine due to COVID, and so, but he was always a huge part of his training, his influence, and his focus. So I think that there's kind of a pattern of greatness within certain fighters and the importance of their fathers in both their development as a professional and as a fighter. So I think it makes sense that these very intense ground fighters seem to have a commonality in that.
Yeah, so I think that I agree. I would love to be anything like Khabib, so to have that in the same conversation as well.
Yeah, I just think overall, I'm not trying to launch any, and you have plenty of time to get there, but I just overall find that an interesting commonality, individuals who have that constant presence in their MMA life from an early age, whether it's a father or a coach. So, I'm gonna kind of wrap this up here a little bit, and we're gonna catch back up when we got a little more clarity, maybe with Wi-Fi and everything. But I do want to thank you for coming on, Casey. And closer to when you have a fight announcement, I don't believe you have any news within the UFC fight announcement at this point, I assume.
No, nothing yet. No, nothing booked in. So I'll definitely jump back on next time when I have something locked in.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Sorry, we kind of got jumbled up with the internet here at the end, but we'll definitely get you back on here. And
okay.
Yeah, and just have a great night. Happy quarantine, and I look forward to hearing more news and following your career. At 23 years old, the future is very, very bright for you, and I appreciate you making the time to come on here. And again, safe quarantine. Enjoy the fights early on Saturday morning. And if you do want to pick Khabib or Gaethje, if you can hear me, Khabib or Gaethje, I'd love to have your pick for that.
I'm going Gaethje just because I love an underdog. So yeah, I'm going Gaethje.
Love it. Love it. All right, Casey, we'll get you back on soon, but just know that the Fight Bananas family's behind you, which doesn't mean anything yet, but it will mean something. And we really appreciate you coming on. Thank you for joining me on Aaron the Dog Talk. And we'll see you soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. See you.
See you later. All right. And so that was Casey O'Neill, King Casey O'Neill, that is. I didn't even get to talk to her about her nickname, which is not Queen, it's King. She's on that King shit. Overall, the internet came in a little bit there, so thanks for working with us. She's, again, quarantining out in Lake Tahoe. But congratulations again to Casey on the UFC contract. And we will be back in, let's see, 20 minutes. First, I'll have a little bit of a Savage session with this Jillian Robertson girl. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but if you're not, that means that you're new to Fight Bananas, so hit that subscribe button. But anyways, I'll be back visiting with her real quick before hopping into a Gaethje and Khabib pay-per-view early on Saturday. And Garrett will be here for the breakdown. So we're going to have I'm going to have some dogs for you, Richard. I'll have the parlays for you. Join me in 20 minutes. But until then, get that homework in. I expect to see you in those comments, Richard, and have a good one. We'll see you guys all soon. This is me alone. Peace out. Thank you for working with me. And again, shout out to King Casey O'Neill. Go follow her on Instagram. King Casey is one of the true prospects in all of female MMA, and the UFC signed a good one. So congratulations again to Casey. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.